We don't understand never making an incorrect statement as truth. The minute we say truth, we know it implies choice. This person always chooses to say what's right. Are you following me? And the greater the adversity, when you make that choice, the more truthful you become. It's like the great wedding vow, love. Do you, Jeff Lang? Take Raja Kandil, that's her name. My wife, beautiful woman. When we went to City Hall to get civilly married also. Do you, Jeff Lang, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, until death do you part? My wife, you looked at my wife, what do you say? I do. He looked at me, I said, whoa. Inside my head, it was a joke. My wife was going to kill me. But, he made it sound so weighty, You could take this person, sickness and poverty, and no matter how hard it gets. But when he said that, he was saying just what I said. He was emphasizing through suffering. Do you understand this choice? Are you using your intellect here? Are you ready to make this choice? Do you do it? One young lady once said to me, Jeff, you never really loved me. Because when the going got tough and things got hard, you just got up and left. And she understood. That's what love is, not just having a lot of good romance and enjoying each other's company a lot. Real love is pain. It's dealing with the pain and the happiness and sticking it out and persevering. Another thing that the Quran emphasizes again and again and again. Is that okay? Okay. So I'll finish up by saying, that explains why in the Quran, sin, when a person sins, they don't mostly destroy God. They don't destroy God at all. They don't even primarily sin against another person. Who is the victim of our sins mostly in the Quran? Ourselves. The Quran says you sin against yourself. You commit zulm, destruction. You commit oppression against yourselves. Because every time we do wrong, every time instead of choosing mercy, compassion, etc., we choose its antithesis, we destroy ourselves. And we don't grow in the direction where we could experience all that is beautiful in this life and the next, and in particular God's being. We grow in a direction that's antithetical to that, and we suffer horribly because of it. It's as if, I don't want to get into it beyond that. So the time just does not permit. You'll have to read my book. I'll leave you with one last example of things, because I want to emphasize that even if you read my book, I'm sure you're going to come up with theological questions that book doesn't answer. Guaranteed. As many questions as there are people in the world. But the important thing is, just because you can't answer a question doesn't mean a rational answer isn't out there. I think it's important to remember that. So a lot of times people email that, they say, I have this question, and I haven't been able to answer it. And they say, can you answer it? And I write back, no. And then they feel, then why should I believe? Well, because I'm not that smart. But I'll give you an example. Once my daughter Jamila, and I'm going to end with this because I love this story and I love my daughter. And she taught me a lot. Because sometimes as parents, our children come to us and they ask us these type of questions, and especially Muslim parents, and they freak out. Because kids tell me, I asked my father this question, and he totally freaked out. He told me I was a Catholic. But sometimes it's better just to talk it out with them and be patient and admit that, you don't know. So Jamila comes to me one night. I'm tucking her in. I already tucked her two sisters in. Now I'm tucking Jamila in. I'm saying, honey, good night, sleep. And then she says, Daddy, I have a question. I think, there we go. Up till midnight. Jamila just never lets go of a question. She's the genius in the family. So I said, yes, what's your question, honey? Then she said, Daddy, I understood, your explanation of the purpose of life and what you got from the Quran. And it's coherent. She didn't use the word coherent. It's coherent. It makes sense. The pieces fit together. It still says, I got a question. It's just gnawing at me, and I can't figure out the answer to it. And I said, well, sometimes, honey, those things come later in life. Just keep working on it. Put it on a shelf. You'll be surprised what the experiences of life can teach you. So she said, can I try it with you? I said, okay. She said, Daddy, why does God let little children suffer? I can understand adults. right? They have the intellect and everything, and they could learn from it and grow from it, etc. What about like 2-year-old babies, 5-year-old kids? Never did a wrong thing in their life. Don't have the maturity to grow from these experiences. Why would you let children suffer terrible calamity, death even? This doesn't make sense. Now, when you ask about the children, and you're asking a parent, and your whole life is about protecting and nurturing those love buckets you have. It's just overwhelming, that question. I told her, frankly, honey, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you some advice. Maybe someday you'll figure it out. If you've got a question like that, a good thing to often do, if you already have this sort of understanding of life and you're trying to fit it in with that or see that it makes sense by that, if you got something like that, assume the opposite. Assume the opposite. And see if it fits with how you understand life and our existence. Are you following me? She said, not at all. I said, let me give you an example. Let's assume that it's not as you said. Let's assume just the opposite. Children are invulnerable. God made it so that children could never suffer up until a certain age. What age would you like to say when childhood ends? I don't know, Daddy. Pick your age. I said 18? She said, fine, 18. I said, okay, up till 18, a child could never suffer. No disease, nothing. No illness, can't die. Children are invulnerable up to then after that, vulnerability kicks in, and after that, they're just like everybody else. I said, then how would that fit with how we understand the purpose of life as I just described it? Would it make any sense? This purpose of life that even you said seems coherent. And I didn't, I said, this might take years for us to figure out, but it's just a good thing to do when you're faced with such dilemmas. So I said, let's just try to think about it for the next 20, 30 minutes. We'll talk about it, and then after that, we'll pursue it at later times. Because I said, frankly, I don't have the answer. So I'm down, I'm looking like this, I'm pondering the question. We're both quiet. And all of a sudden, I hear her voice. She said, Daddy? I said, yes, son? She said, I think I got it. I'm thinking, she got it? I've been thinking about it for 15 minutes, and don't even have a clue. I know she can't be any nearer. I look at her and I say, yeah, go ahead. I think I'm humoring my daughter. Yeah, go ahead. She said, Daddy, I think of it as the way you said it was. That children couldn't suffer at all until they're 18, can't experience any disease or anything. Completely invulnerable. I said, yeah, why? She said, then mommies and daddies really wouldn't need to be mommies and daddies anymore. So, she wasn't saying that mommies and daddies wouldn't need to give birth anymore. She was saying that parenting would be robbed of all its value. Are you following me? Because in Islam, parenting is one of our major venues for spiritual growth. We have more opportunities, such tremendous opportunities to grow in mercy, compassion, forgiveness, etc., through parenting, through our relationship with our families and our children, than almost any other venue. Are you following me? My daughter was saying, if kids are vulnerable to 18, parents wouldn't need to be parents anymore. And so they would be deprived of that experience and wouldn't have all that love. Is there any other relationship in your life where you experience more selfless love, compassion, forgiveness, etc., than a relationship between a parent and a child? And in turn, they absorb it. They don't realize it, but they absorb that whole experience of your love, compassion, etc., and they come to know it. Even when they're 6 months old, when you're hugging them and caressing them and breastfeeding them, etc., they are developing an understanding of that comfort, that love, that nurture, and it sticks with them their whole life, and they yearn for it, and then later yearn to give it to others. Are you following me? So I don't know if you understood her question or her answer, but she taught me. She taught me. And a lot of times we can learn from listening to our children. In any case, you guys have got to be exhausted because I know I am. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.